Alofalava, ia manuia lau whaafonganga, I le neifo I whaapoponga la tātou prokalama, o le KokoBytes. Good morning and welcome to KokoBytes, where we keep your cup of Coco Samoa full with innovations and creativity in American Samoa's tech community. I am Ginger Leigh Porter, your host, together with my co-host, Michael McDonald, from the American Samoa Department of Commerce. Good morning, Michael.
Talofa, good morning, Ginger. How are you doing this morning? It's fine morning.
It is. It's great. I wanted to point your attention to this beautiful background that I have here of
Yes. Earlier when I saw it, I thought it looks like the east side. And let me ask, but of course, if I was going to venture a guess, it would have been Fagaitua. But yeah, that's a nice shot. That's great. I love the fact that we have a platform to showcase the beauty that is American Samoa. And as you can see behind me here, I've made my way 30 minutes east of Tutuila, and I'm out in front of the Vauto Lodge on Ofu Beach. This is one of the most popular beaches in American Samoa, even though it's still one of the most what's the word I want to? And no one is ever there.
Isolated, secluded.
Yeah, it's secluded, it's isolated, and I think that's part of the beauty and part of the draw to this beach. This is the beach that's made its way into the top 10 beaches list in the world. I think on multiple occasions. And so if you're ever down here in American Samoa, you have to go to Ofu. It's beautiful. And gosh, look at how clear the skies are back there.
Oh yeah, that's a really beautiful shot. So I guess we're the theme today is we're really headed east, right? So headed east of Tutuila and further east to the Manua Islands. Which brings us to our topic for today, right? So how reaching those far populations in whatever using broadband, right? As we're talking about broadband and the possibilities. So today's guests are teachers from Fagaitua High School, and I'll let them introduce themselves as we bring them into our conversation. But it's reaching that last mile population, right? So we hear that terminology, reaching the last mile, right? So this is it. This is one of those programs that's actually reaching that last mile. So in the sense of actually to the community. So I'm excited.
Right. No, it's a great topic for us to have. I know we've hit several different topics, all of course anchored in broadband and the Hawaii cable and what's possible now here in American Samoa. And it's great to be able to talk to some teachers. I mean, these are the people in the classrooms helping to mold our future, right? Mold our future leaders, the youth, and from the Department of Commerce's perspective, these are the people that we rely on to help develop the next generation of workers, right? In order for us to build industry and to sustain industry, we need qualified, well-trained workers. And so we look to our teachers and our education system. And so this is going to be a great opportunity for us to hear from some of the teachers. So let's go ahead and bring them in.
All right. So I have Faugagana Fagaava and Kaylla Turituri, who are going to be our guests on today's show. So
okay, great.
All right. So I have them. Good morning, Fau. Good morning, Kaylla.
Good morning, Ginger.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning to you both, and welcome to KokoBytes.
Yeah, welcome. Good morning, ladies. Aloha.
I'll jump straight to it. So if I can ask Fau and then over to Kaylla to introduce yourselves. How long have you been a teacher out there in Fagaitua High School, and share a little bit. So our audience are the public, and consistent of anyone who crosses paths on our Facebook. So we want to introduce the wonderful people and the wonderful teachers at Fagaitua High School. And today we're represented by Fau and Kaylla.
Okay, awesome. I'll go ahead and go first. Talofa, hello, everyone. My name is Faugagana Fagaava. Everybody calls me Fau for short. I am from Auto, American Samoa. I'm a teacher in Fagaitua High School. I've been teaching for 20 plus years, but almost 15 years now in Fagaitua High School. And I teach government for seniors. And I'm excited to be here today. And I hope we get to share um, some of the good things that are happening in Fagaitua High School. Thank you very much.
Talo for everyone. I'm Kaylla Turituri. I am from the village of Amaoli. I've been teaching in Fagaitua for 10 years, going on 11, I believe. And I teach, my focus this year or for the past 4 years have been U.S. history. And I'm very excited to share what Fagaitua has been doing over the summer, ever since we went on this shutdown, COVID. And I'm so happy to be here.
That's great. So thank you both for taking the time to be a part of KokoBytes today. So can you explain a little bit about the Fagaitua High School hybrid learning model? You know, everyone's been excited to roll out the technology to make use of the broadband that American Samoa has currently, but you guys have really taking it to the next level. So share a little bit about what you have been doing with the hybrid learning model.
Okay, thank you, Ginger, for that question. So we're very excited to talk about hybrid blended learning because it's a model that we've been using since the beginning of this school year. And just to give you guys a background on how it all started, keep in mind that prior to the COVID, we had there was I forgot it was Christmas the last school year. We had to stay home because of the I think there
Measles.
was a flu, there was a pandemic prior to that happened. So, anyways, so we were thinking the leadership team and most of the teachers were kind of talking, okay, so what if something like this is going to happen again? How are we going to deal with because we have no connection with the students at all or with the parents. So we kind of talk about an idea or a program that we can do in Fagaitua High School in case. And then we kind of heard about the pandemic on the news on about COVID, but we wanted to figure out, okay, what can we do, what is the plan before if it hits American Samoa. So we were already kind of thinking about, and this was the program that one of our leadership team person, Miss Denise Asu, came up with, and that was the idea of hybrid blended learning. Now, hybrid blended learning basically it's a program where the teacher can be able to use online and face to face. So it's an integration of both, and especially how we can be able to integrate technology. So we had three objectives when we came up with the hybrid blended learning. One of that was to mitigate the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on instructional stakeholders like the students, the staff, the parents, and the community. But also at the same time, we wanted to continue to offer rigorous instruction using a hybrid blended learning model. And Kayla is an exceptional teacher who, at this point, is still using a lot of technology in her classroom. And also at the same time, as I've already shared prior to our meeting today, we have the WASC. So we also have some of the recommendation from our WASC team back in 2018 on how we can be able to use our in-staff expertise, and at the same time how we can integrate technology more in the classroom. So those were some of the objectives and why we came up with this hybrid blended learning model, as I've shared with you guys before. So we did the research. We did survey. We went to we first have to look at our staff. how many are qualified to use technology, the different technology program in our school. For example, are you using Google Classroom? Are you even using like emails to kind of communicate with our staff or with our admins or even with the parents? So those were a lot of questions that we sent out to the staff, and surprisingly, we came up with a high number of teachers that weren't really comfortable with using technology in the program. And so what we did was, with this hybrid blended learning model, we don't really, in American Samoa, we don't really have like a lot of institutions that would come out to our school and do professional development. So what we did, because a lot of our young teachers are already learning, they're already tech savvy, right? We have like Miss Kayla, Miss Brittany, and I, who did just our master's program with UH on STEM. So, and we kind of, we were already um, taught how to integrate technology in the classroom. Like, for example, Google Classroom. Zoom was also something that we were highly familiar with prior to the COVID. So we brought all of our skills together as a team, as our in-staff expertise, and we used that to create our own professional development that we had during the summer. So one of our tasks was, before this school year started, we wanted to make sure that all of our teachers not only know how to use Google Classroom, they're highly qualified to be able to use all the Google apps that are available within our fingertips. And also at the same time, we want to reach out to our community and to our parents to know that it's not just face to face that we can get a hold of them. There's this thing that the parents will just click and go on Google Classroom and check what grades or what lessons that their students are missing, and what is the progress of the students. So we actually have a lot of phases that we're working on. But in case I might talk and I talk a lot, I'll just give the time over to Kayla to kind of explain what else that I might miss out. But yes, that's the 24/7 on hybrid blended learning in America, in Fagaitua High School.
Thank you, Fao. So I think one of the things that you haven't covered is the fact that hybrid learning wasn't just for the students. It was a way to contact and be in contact with the parents constantly. We didn't have to see them. Um, they didn't have to come to the classroom in order for them to get these reviews about their kids. They didn't have to come to classroom. They would just be emailed on the spot every day. And I guess that kind of bridges the gap between uh, mother and child, father and child, because that way, instead of just asking your son and daughter, like, what do you have homework, like, what were you doing today in school, and all they say is, oh, nothing, oh, the regular mom and dad. But now they can actually get these emails that will inform them what's going on in the classroom, when is it due. It just closes that gap between parents and child. So thank you.
Well, Ginger, I'm just kind of in awe, I guess. I've heard about the program in Fagaitua over the past several months, but to hear it firsthand from the folks who are implementing it is quite impressive. The fact that they were ahead of the game, well ahead of the game for many people on island and off island, I would venture to say, right? We were dealing with measles in the last quarter of last year, and to hear Fau talk about how their wheels were already turning and thinking about how to prep for the next possible, closure, and then bam, it hits in March. And so that's rather impressive. I did want to ask Kayla about the point that she just made, closing that gap between the students' learning experience and the parents' participation. That is an area that I don't think most people think about immediately when it comes to leveraging technology. But to your point, I can certainly see how tremendous of an impact that can make on the child's progress through school, whether it's elementary or high school. I might be a little pessimistic in saying that sometimes parents treat school as a drop off, you know, drop the kid off, out of sight, out of mind, and then go about, you know, their business. But gosh, this tool seems to really be changing how that relationship functions. What has been the response from the parents with having now these tools at their disposal? Are they slowly coming into the fold, or are they all jumping in with both feet? How has that been?
Well, it's I'll answer first, Fal, and then I'll give you the chance. So it's been rough. It's been tough. Now that when we were at the staggering stage where two classes will come to school per day. For example, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday would be only 9th and 10th grade, and then Tuesday, Thursday will only be 11th and 12th grade. So
Mm,
when we were going through those stages, it was pretty hard to get in contact with the parents, because when we went out to do our training, we were able to reach about, I believe, 69 or 73% of the parents with whose students went to Fagaitua High School or are supposed to come in as freshmen. So we gave them our side of the story. We showed them, we trained them how to check these emails. We weren't training them how to use Google Classroom because they won't be the ones using Google Classroom. They're only the ones who will be receiving the work done on Google Classroom.
mm, mm.
So up to now, I can honestly say some of the parents are, what is it? They're more aware of what their students are doing. So
Mhm.
I get emails daily like, oh, I've seen your work and how is my son doing? Can I please see? Can I come see? They're now more open to communication.
Mm.
But, you know, it's still a lot of work. We still have a long way to go.
A work in
Um,
progress, huh?
yes, yeah. I mean, we're not saying it's perfect, but it's if we do it and it helps us grow an inch or two, hey, that's still progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, credit to you guys. Absolutely, you have to start somewhere, and so now you've started, and so the ship is sailing. So we just got to uh, keep keep it pointed in the right direction, and we all have to row together.
Yeah, no doubt. The stories that you folks have shared just now, it's amazing with the resources that you have working with, and then all the challenges. So I'm amazed at the progress and how far this program has gotten. So Fao, did you want to reflect on the parent student relation, and how any improvements or any changes to that?
I think Kayla already mentioned it, and I do agree with her with what Mike already mentioned. At least we got the door open. Now it's just
Hmm.
making progress. We can't really change anything overnight. And mind you, with our community, and I know Ginger, you're also aware of this, we're very someone oriented, where the parents kind of leave all the learning to the teachers. And so trying to have the parents come on board and be like, okay, you now have a role in the learning, it's kind of it's almost like you have to change their mindset first
Hmm.
before they could kind of because they're still very intimidated with the fact that we want them to be on board so they know how their child is doing in the classroom. But we're making progress, small as it is, but at least I'm grateful that we're trying to close that gap between us and the parents.
Fao, I got a question for you. As far as you utilizing broadband to help you as a teacher deliver, an effective lesson for your students, what sort of I guess what sort of tools are you using in the classroom, or even when you're interfacing via Zoom? Are there apps that you use? Are you recording lectures so that students can go back and listen again? Gosh, it's been so long since I've been in a classroom. I have, I don't know what they look like anymore with all this technology. But for our listening audience and myself, of course, can you give us an idea of what technology looks like in a classroom in American Samoa in the year 2020.
Okay, so for our hyper blended learning model approach that we use, so we kind of use this model in we integrate technology three ways, right? Number one is our curriculum. So in our curriculum, what we've done is we adopted some of the online programs that we're using, and the two programs that we're using right now, it's Accelis and Achieve 3000. Unfortunately, because DOE has not like continue a new license for Achieve 3000, so we kind of had to look out for other programs that we're using. But Asalis is definitely one program that we're using for our curriculum. We also have the grade level collaboration project-based assessment learning that Kayla is working on, and she can elaborate more on that. For our classroom management, we use Google Classroom, we use Zoom, we use Google Hangout, we use all those G Suite application. So Zoom, as Kayla mentioned about our staggering schedule that we had, that the OE schedule in the beginning of the new school year. So what we did was we normally have our class through Zoom, and then we recorded the session. So if the students are missing or if they don't understand, what we normally tell them is go watch the video again and you'll probably understand. So, but Google Classroom is basically our number one Google classroom management that all the teachers are using right now. And in there are all of our assignments, all of our the quizzes and everything, the projects that we're doing, and even the grades. So students, that's basically how the teachers and the students collaborate, and they know their grades, and they know where they're at as far as in the classroom is concerned. But the great thing about Google Classroom is that because we have the parents as guardians, they could access what their students are learning and what they're missing, because they would get a report by the ending of every week. Also, at the same time, we have more educational tech resources that we're using. Like, for example, we have Flipgrid, we have Adobe Spark, we use Storybird, ReadWorks, VoiceThreads, and Kayla can talk more about other various educational tech resources that we're using in Fagaitua right now.
I think to answer your question, Mike, um, yes, we do use a lot of recording in class. We record videos, we post them on Google Classroom. Students record videos, they post them on Google Classroom. If we're doing, we we are blessed that we have, I think, a little over 100 um, Chromebooks that are issued to different teachers. So, for example, for every social studies teacher, they gets 20 Chromebooks for their classroom. Same goes with the English department, because these are the only two departments where every student in Fangaitua is attending a class. So all 9, 10, 11, 12 will be going to an English, because these are the only courses that are 4 years in high school, is the English and social studies. Therefore, these are the places where they are allowed to go into and use the technology there. We have Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi for probably every classroom here that is social studies and English. And the main reason why is because, as Val mentioned, is because we used the Accelis program, which is a very awesome program for reading and math and all subject areas. And we do have Achieve 3000, which is to help with the reading comprehension. But since we don't have those now, we had to scramble around and find some more programs, especially things that we've learned over the summer. We use a lot of Canva. Canva is a very good program where it's kind of like PowerPoint, but it makes your PowerPoint pop. I don't know. I mean, the kids love it, and
Yeah.
I love it. So there's so many different Web 2.0s out there that we just have to look at it, research it, use it, and then help our kids use it as well. So I
Wow.
don't think there's a shortage of supplies there. But yeah, that's how much we try to use technology in our classroom.
Well, that's awesome. This is a sort of innovation, Ginger, we talk about when we're, having our Coco Samoa and wondering what sort of innovations are taking place out in our community. I wanted to ask one final question, at least from my side, and Ginger, feel free to chime in. But with all that you guys have on your plate, all the resources and all the activity that's taken place over the past year, what would you say is your number one priority as a teacher in the classrooms right now, going into 2021? What do you need to help you do your job? And again, you know, I know there's a lot that you need, but as it relates to technology and broadband, what would you say that that one thing is that you would need to make your teaching experience that much more successful?
Okay, so for me, what we need is that we don't have all the necessary tools that we need in our classroom. For example, when we had the CARES Act funding, we were supposed to, all the students were actually supposed to have laptops. But right now we only have about probably less than 100 working for close to 500 students. So not because not everybody have access to laptop. That is probably our biggest challenge that we have throughout our whole school, because when we started the school year, the parents were coming in like in hundreds every day, coming in and demanding that they want a laptop. We're like, okay, we gave out a lot of laptops, but most of the students did not turn it back in, or those laptops that we gave out to the parents, this was last school year, uh, most of them came up broken, so we don't really have a lot to offer. So that's our number one challenge, that we have right now, is the lack of technology equipments for us to do our job, and for students so that they can get on the broadband, so they can get on the internet and whatnot. But for me specifically as a teacher, and I teach seniors that are going to exit out of high school, my job is to prepare them to be tech savvy, or at least have the major skills, because we know that we're going into a more advanced technology world. And so I want to prepare them for what's outside there. And so by having them like create their email, know how to write an email, how to send an attachment, how to do a PowerPoint, those I feel are really necessary skills that I need to make sure that my students are ready for before they exit high school and move out to the world.
Oh, great. And Kayla?
Um, I don't know. I never asked myself that question, but I just make do with what I have, and if I have laptops, I have laptops. If the kids are able to provide their phones, so they can, I can provide the internet password, and we'll do something online. And, that's as far as technology will go for me. Maybe I just recently, last year, I never had a smart board. And, because I thought I didn't need one, so I had the kids use Zoom. So they would all be on, the Chromebooks, and I'll be lecturing in the front while they're using Zoom on their computer, following when I'm sharing my screen. And then I just recently acquired a borrowed, what do you call that, a projector. So I'm like, oh, this is why I missed the smart board. But yeah, probably, technology to help the teachers, help the students. I totally believe in that one saying that we shared with our teachers over the summer, that technology is powerful, but in the hands of the right teacher, uh, you know, it's even more, it will do wonders. Okay.
Amen.
Yeah, well, thank you both for, this wonderful conversation and a look into what you folks are doing out there. Kayla, your last comment there about making do with what you have, right? And then Fao's comment about the technology itself is your biggest problem, right? Not the connectivity, right? So it just goes back to some of our ongoing conversations that broadband is not an excuse anymore for American Samoa, right? It's now we are at a different stage of getting the skills ready, getting the opportunities ready. So with that, I thank you both for the conversation and for sharing your experience with us. And I my hat off to you both and all the teachers at Fagaitua for all the work that you folks are doing. It's amazing with what you've accomplished, with what resources that you have. And so thank you again.
Thank you, ladies. Have
Thank
a Merry,
you.
Merry Christmas and
Yes, Merry Christmas.
very successful 2021.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks so much for your time. I know you got to run, Fau, so thanks for sticking around. So,
Okay, thank you very
thanks,
much.
Kaylla.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Michael, I'm still in awe from that conversation with Fau and Kaylla. I don't know where to start to reflect.
Yeah. Well, how about first of all, we start by saying that these two teachers, these two ladies, are awesome. As I'm sure,
Yes.
many of the other teachers, men and women out there in our schools are. We know as islanders that resources have always been limited. And I think Kaylla was the one who had mentioned that she makes do with what she has, and credit to her and to everybody else for doing such a fantastic job, in our classrooms. I know and this comes straight from them, there's still a lot of work to be done, but day in and day out, they're doing the hard work, the heavy lifting, the dirty work, if you want to call it that. And so thank you, ladies, and thank you to all the teachers out there.
Yeah.
But yes, it was quite the conversation, and my mind is now spinning, and it's like, okay, well, where do we start? Where do we start our conversation? Taking a step back, looking at Hawaii again. For us at the Department of Commerce, it's about the return on our investment as a government, as a people, into this huge improvement to our telecommunications infrastructure. How do we leverage it? How do we really, really leverage it? Just not, a little, but a lot. And when it comes to education and educating our young people, I mean, that's what today's conversation was about. And obviously, there's a lot of work going on at Fagaitua. Again, if we're going to pick a few things that we were very impressed with, that with them having the foresight and the intuition to, jump on this stuff last year, and it clearly helped them roll out their program much sooner than anybody else. I think it was back in April when I first heard about it, and they were already meeting with the teachers, getting training for the teachers. They're already meeting with parents, getting the parents into the mix. Yeah, I'm just going over my notes here, but what jumps off your note sheet there at you as we reflect back?
Yeah, well, something that stuck with me is, Fau's last comment about her role is to prepare these students, for this technology world that they're entering, right? So, and these are the basic skills, right? It's like reading, right? So reading is now, so you add, okay, email, how to use that as one of those basic things you have to have, right? So in order to, it's about survival, right? It's about surviving in this technology driven world. So that takes me to a conversation that I had earlier this week about digital literacy, right? So this guy who I'm hopeful we'll hear from in the future talked about three things in the creating this workforce, right? It's connectivity and accessibility, the ability and skills, and then opportunities. So those are the three main components of creating this workforce. So connectivity, accessibility, American Samoa has that through broadband and Hawaii. But now we've got to focus on these skills, right? The skills, the education, and and everything is technology related these days. Even working at at the supermarket, you have to know how to operate the cash register. You have to operate, everything is and then you put it up on social media. So it's all of those things driven together, right? So I like our kind of the themes that we've tried to capture as part of our conversation or global conversation in the working group. It's the local, regional, global, digital, right? So that's where we're, our linear talks and our timeline have gone to. So, but I that comment from Fau resonates with me in the sense that we are creating these survival skills, right? For students, right?
Right. And, we take it for granted. I think most people take it for granted. Of course, you know how to do an email. Of course, you know how to, attach a file. But
Right.
the reality is that, without access to the tools to use on a regular basis, of course, they have 500 students and only 100 Chromebooks. So how much practice can you get with, sending emails and working on basic PowerPoint presentations or using a word processor, but yeah, to your comment about, what Fau said, I go back to what Kaylla said, as another thing that just jumped out at me. And I believe she said at the end there that, a teacher with the proper tools can work miracles. I'm paraphrasing now, but
Right.
that's basically what she was saying. And so, what can we do as a community here to equip, our teachers to be, those superheroes, those superheroes we expect them to be, right? I think all parents expect the teachers to go in and just, pump out, superstars, but they don't have proper equipment, and in many cases, the challenges are just so high. But again, just kind of looking at some of the low-hanging fruit, what can we do to help the teachers? And I think it was pretty clear to give them more tools, so they can be more effective at their job. But yeah, no, that was a good conversation. A lot more to discuss.
I agree, and especially when you have those teachers who are who have the passion, right? You heard it in their voice that this is their passion. That teaching and then the integration of technology just takes it over, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's Kaylla was rattling off all these apps. I'm like, okay, I've never heard of that. What's that? Wait a second, let me jot that down. So clearly they're swimming in technology, the applications and the software that they're using to, again, make them better teachers and to help the students learn more effectively. But clearly there's still a lot of room for us to help them be better at what they love doing. And that's teaching our future.
Yes. Well, thank you all for joining us today on another episode of KokoBytes, where we keep your cup of Koko Samoa full with innovations and creativity in American Samoa's tech community. Soifua.